Good morning, Qatar. Uh, we are still here. We are still talking about AI on third day. We all have AI assistants around us, but we all feel that they're possibly going to replace us. So I have these two gentlemen to make the case for why they are assisting me and why they're not going to replace me. David, let's start with you.
In terms of we're not going to replace you?
Yeah?
I think there's always going to be human in the middle. I think the job is going to get easier over time. But a good example would be like when you're driving a car. When we first started, you used to have a map, and you'd pull out the map, and you'd go in and say, okay, I'm driving, I'm deciding what happens. Now, everyone uses Waze, everyone uses Google Maps, and the map is telling you where to go, and you're just following that order, but you're the human in the middle that can decide what happens.
Abdullah, what's your take on this?
Well, when I look at it, actually, I think the goal of technology is actually to make things easier and to reduce the need for workforce. So I don't look at it as a replacing human or replacing roles. I look at it as replacing tasks, so task-based kind of replacement. So we don't look at replacing human at certain roles. We look at doing task by AI. And this is the goal of technology, this is the goal of AI, and we should be honest that it is something that we should actually optimize for. That doesn't mean that human will not find a place for them to work. It means that they will do more meaningful things that's appropriate for human, for their level of intelligence.
I think one point when we had our call, we discussed was that often AI companies, when they roll out their tools, they say that, hey, AI is going to assist you and then you can do more. But they never say, what do you mean by more? Let's unpack that. You run a company which helps other companies build their customer success experience. We have already customer success and customer support executives. If they are not kind of triaging with customers, what would they do? How do you think about when some of their tasks are automated, what can they do?
So what we see from our customers is that one of the first things that they do, they transition to be more of supervisors. They supervise the actions of these AI agents. Also, they can be part of the process, of the automation process, because there are some critical workflows that needs human approval. So they are the ones who approve these kind of things. So that's one thing we see. Another thing we see is that those customer support agents who are now being helped by AI agents, they're now focusing more on cross-selling and kind of building relationships with human, because AI cannot build a relationship with the human, so they use their capacity or their form as human to build this relationship with the customers, to be able to cross-sell, to be able to extend the relationship of that customer or the company.
David, what do you think about, you started as a tool for meeting note-taking, but Reed has evolved into a kind of meeting of records as such. You're doing more and more, and that involves some of the automation of humans. How do you think when sales executives or marketing executives have their stuff automated, we might see some reduction in workforce? How do you think about that paradigm?
Yeah, I think when you think about reduction in workforce and AI, it sounds scary, but at the end of the day, if you think about advertising right now, where you've got Meta and Google, you put a pixel on a site, and then you just throw money at it, and you adjust creative, and the algorithm goes in and optimizes it. Well, if you think about it from an agency standpoint, you might have lost some jobs from an agency standpoint because they used to trade. But then you look at Facebook and you look at Google, and they've actually built companies that are hundreds of thousands of people that actually support that role now, that level of automation, that level of kind of algorithmic trading. And I think you're going to see the same thing when it comes to day-to-day work, where we start with the meeting notes, where it's like, hey, nobody here wants to sit down and take meeting notes. But as you start to take away that job, that goes in and says you have a little bit more time to do other things that you can go and focus in on, that you can send that report a little bit faster, that you can respond back to a customer and actually have better context and say, all the information is in front of me, now I can make a better decision versus I spent a bunch of time gathering all the information and I only have a little bit of time to actually make a decision on that.
I want to ask, because you folks serve customers, but I also want you to kind of introspect about your companies. You might be using other tools, you might be using your own tools, but when you think that, apart from, I would say, definitely the engineering function, how have non-engineering functions in your companies have adopted AI, and how do you kind of also help them understand that this is not possibly about replacing, but this is more about aiding your job?
So we are focusing because we are an AI company. So it's obvious that we also use AI within the company itself in different functions. And the most common use case is programming and customer support, and we're using our technology for customer support, and we're using other tools for programming, but also for Read AI we are a customer of Read AI, and we use Read AI a lot for note taking and summaries as well. So that's one thing. Another is marketing. We're leveraging AI in marketing for content generation and for sales enablement as well. It's a big use case in the company because as the company grows, you have more product, you have more customers, you have more use cases. The knowledge will become very scattered in different places. So we use also AI as an advisor for our sales enablement purposes. So the goal is basically to scale our outcomes as a company without scaling the headcount. And AI is there for this purpose.
David?
On our side, it's really gathering the information on a product perspective. So when our customer success people, they talk with clients, they troubleshoot issues, they get feedback on they want this new setting, they want this new feature. Well, on a one-off basis, that's not very valuable because one person's problem is not everyone's problem. But with AI, you're able to actually gather all the conversations that we have. The sales team, when they're talking with customers on a daily basis, where they talk to 5, 10, 15, customer success, 5, 10, 15, 20, I'm out in the field talking with different folks. All of that information can be centralized when you have a system of record, not just for meetings, but for productivity. And then you can actually go mine that. You could actually go in and say like, hey, what are the top 10 feature requests from customers? And we do this today. But then you go in and say, what are the top 10 features from my customers that actually canceled their account? Because now I know if I didn't build this feature, this is why they left, and I can prioritize those versus just general counts.
How do you think in this world hiring? How do you think about hiring in the world where the expectation from AI is that it'll be more productive? So how do you position yourself that this is the head count rather I want to hire for, or these are the functions where humans and their expertise is still important?
Yeah, I would say from our standpoint, it's getting the right people in the place. That's critical, but then using AI to scale them out so they can do more. So we have over 5 million MAUs that use our product, and they're using it for meetings, emails, et cetera. Our client success team, the group that actually supports that, is just 5 people. So that's for every million people, we have one customer success person that supports that. That's the scale of AI. And I think Abdullah's got a team where they're doing a lot of work, but it's like they're doing it at scale. And I think that's what you're going to continue to see is like these agents that you start to hear about, they're going to give you this massive scale to say, let me take the best people that I've got on my team, let me give you 5 agents like a manager or an advisor or a kind of, and then you're able to actually scale that out. They can go do the work and you can correct it as you go.
Abdullah, how do you think about when you're hiring people in this age? What are the skills that you look for, and even if you have existing people, how do you upskill them?
Well, to be honest, the goal for any company to hire people with AI native people who are very strong with AI, but we need to be realistic. Today, this skill is being developed. You cannot find a lot of people who have very strong AI capabilities of I'm not saying building AI, but using AI. But the people...
Can you double click on what the AI capabilities would mean? Can you give me an example while you're talking?
Yeah, so basically, would be able to basically to build their own AI agent to help them in their job. So for example, an HR person would not need an AI engineer to build for him an AI agent to help him his workflows. Would be actually by himself as an AI specialist he can build his own workflows using AI. Basically to automate the responses, to connect to communication channels like emails and Slack, and to automate all these kind of things. So the augmentation of human and AI, and without the need to bring someone else externally to help them to build these kind of capabilities, is what we look for.
And just on that, like another example would be, you have the human, we have new hires that come on board, they'll tag different content, be it meetings, files, documents, et cetera, and they'll say like, this was relevant to me when I started, this was very helpful, and we've got this folder that you can drop these things into. Now, from an augmentation perspective, when a new hire comes on board, we give them access to the folder and they can start to ask questions. It can proactively give them information where normally they might be like, I feel bad that I'm asking my manager 20 questions on my first day of work. Now they can get all those answers much faster and the manager gets to do more work. They can focus on a core job. A new person is ramping up even faster, so it's a win-win on both sides.
How do you measure productivity in this area? It can't be just that, naturally, it can't be just that the number of hours people work. But are there new metrics that you have discovered or thought of while measuring productivity of people in different functions?
On our side for salespeople, it's been actually pretty clear cut. So we launched a product called Sales AGI, which predicts when a deal change states. So it goes from 25 to 50, 50 to 75 to 100%, and it trains based on the old data that you have in your CRM, be it HubSpot or Salesforce. And we launched that about 6 months ago. To date, we've seen over $200 million in deals get approved through that system. And so that was something that was like, okay, the AI is going in and saying, you should update this, and people are like, okay, this sounds right, $200 million. But even more important than that, it had 23% more content with every single update. So what was happening now was the manager and the team could actually go in and see, oh, this is why you won the deal, or this is why you lost the deal. And now that data is accessible that I can go in and say, he lost the deal because of this, so next time I'm not going to do that, and I've learned from his mistake. Versus in the old days, you'd have to have a training session, a sales offsite, you'd have to bring everyone together and you have to walk through each individual one. Now it's just there automatically, almost like TikTok and Tinder.
Abdullah? Interesting. Depends on the function. Obviously for customer service, customer success, it's how fast our team are being able to resolve tickets and resolve basically issues with the customers. For programmers and product, basically how fast they can ship products, how fast they can fix issues. These are the units of outcomes that we measure. And our expectation is that, again, these should scale without scaling headcount of the company because that's the purpose.
Have you ever, in your kind of retrospective, found that it was a fault of an AI tool or a shortcoming of an AI tool because the engineers or the customer support executives couldn't produce results?
Could you say that again?
In your retrospective or in your kind of performance assessment, have you found that AI was not enough in the sense to aiding them to do their job faster?
Actually, no. I think, listen, AI technology has been advancing very fast, and as an AI company, we try to really focus on enabling our team and training our team to be able to use AI in their functions.
I want to touch on human aspects of when, not end consumers, but end consumers like us, when we face AI in some sense. You have a note taker which is evolving. There is a lot of talk about AI being an active assistant or representing me in a meeting. How do people feel about when there is a bot or when there is potentially someone else's note taker or someone else's avatar in the meeting? I want you to unpack that.
I think 3 years ago, you used to get a lot of pushback. I think today, people understand why it's on the call. As long as you give people control to understand that, hey, this call is being recorded, this call is being measured, people feel comfortable and they can make adjustments to say, I don't want this on the call, or hey, this is fine, I might not say this, or hey, whatever, I don't care. But I think that level of kind of transparency is important. I think the more that you record without consent, it becomes hard to do anything with the data because you can only use it. You can't share it with anybody else. And I think what's going to happen next, so this is stage one. I think when you get to stage 2, stage 3, it's going to be agents, and you're seeing this now with like Moltbot, with Claudebot, where people are actually fine with giving it access to all this data and letting it go in and answer emails, do blog posts, set up a social network, do all these things. But the problem with that right now is it's taking about 2 to 3 hours for someone to set that up. There's a lot of security issues because all that data is readily accessible. I think what we're going to get to in the very near term is a digital twin that comes in for every single person, or an agent that does the work for you that's more autonomous than anyone would have imagined, but you have control over it.
I want you to unpack, I mean, obviously you use voice AI where I might be calling a customer service and I encounter voice AI. What is the work that you have done that AI understands me more or is more human in the sense that my sensibilities and my intent kind of comes through?
So basically, first we have to, our AI agents, they have to say that they're AI agents. That's something that we used to do. And then, it's, at the end of the day, it's all about resolving issues, and it's all about helping customer finding the problem and resolving the problems. And as long as the AI agent is actually focusing on that part, the customer would be happy as long as his issues is being fixed. The customer really don't care whether it's fixed by AI or human, as long as it's fixed fast, it's fixed with accuracy, and fixed with empathy.
How do you, tell me a bit about, double click on what's the empathy part. How do you code empathy into an AI?
How do you
How do
code
we
the
code
empathy?
it?
Yeah, how do you code empathy into AI?
I think you kind of don't code empathy into the AI as much as you let the owner control how it responds, where it interacts. I think to try to code in empathy is almost a false narrative. You want to go in and say like, hey, these are the things that are important to me. I want the AI to replicate. These are the things that are important to me. Pay attention to this. This is how I want you to respond to things. Versus, I think if you hard code it, your empathy is going to be different from my empathy versus Abdullah's. And I think that's trying to be too much. Versus, like, if I can mimic yours from a twin perspective, I think that's where the value is. And I think you're already seeing this now with like context, where people are contextualizing it and they're building fine-tuned models, not based on generic data, but based on individual context, like my email, my messages, my meetings.
Yeah, so it's about, as you mentioned, it's about giving the right instructions for LLMs, basically, because LLM would follow the instruction that you put. And empathy is really relative, and empathy, for example, in Saudi is different than empathy in the US. So you have to be careful in writing the right instructions for the level of empathy. And also, too much empathy can sometimes be annoying, as you know. So you have to have that balance in the agent that you build, to have the proper empathy that, that would be something that the customer would appreciate, but without being really, really annoying. And you have to respect the culture and
Can you give me an example of where that is your approach has helped customers become more accustomed to AI, or felt that they were more empathetic rather than a human?
So I'll think of an example. Nothing comes to my mind, to be honest, now. Maybe.
We've got a beta that we're doing around a digital assistant, a twin. The way that we set it up is we want to make it magic, that they don't know right off the bat initially when someone says, I want to schedule a meeting. You say, hey, here's my availability. It does it. And then people say, thanks a lot. And then all of a sudden it goes and it says like, hey, I'm a digital assistant. If you need anything else from me, let me know. That's been really interesting to see that magic point. And people are like, oh, this is great. How do I get more access to it? And that's where we've really started to see like, hey, you're solving a very clear-cut problem and you're seeing it scale out.
One rapid fire question, what is one task do you think in your personal life AI has automated or is going to automate?
One task that
AI has automated for you?
Using Grid AI, taking meeting minutes, actually.
David?
I think the discovery of content for any question that's available, and I think
Awesome.
that's great.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for listening to us. Thank you. Enjoy Web Summit. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.